All about local, local, local. I don't think it gets much more local than Principal Financial Group.
That's right.
And we have the CEO of the Principal Financial Group joining us at the desk here this morning. And just think about this, folks. It's the Lou and Larry show. And he's back on the air. But welcome.
My pleasure, Lou. It's
welcome.
Great to be here.
Larry
Thank
Zimpleman
you.
is here. And when people heard that you were going to be here, they had tons of questions like, where's he from? Where did he go to school? Well, how about we get a little history as to where you came from and how you got to be the CEO?
Well, it's probably not as dramatic as most people would like to make it.
Well,
to be clear.
Let's find out, where were you born?
Okay, so I was born at the home of the Outlet Mall, which is Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, Iowa.
Nice.
But as I say, Lou, I'm not only pre-Outlet Mall, I'm pre-interstate.
Really? No way.
So,
Highway
I'm pre-interstate. So I grew up in Williamsburg.
Okay.
And I came to Des Moines because I thought I wanted to study actuarial science. I had no idea what that was, by the way.
Oh.
But Drake had a program in actuarial science, so I decided that would be a good place to go to college. Then I caught on a job with Principal when I was a junior because they had a scholarship and I was the only one that applied, so they didn't have a choice.
It helps when that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so they had to give it to me or not give it out.
Good thing, yeah.
And so I decided I just better stay here and see what happens. So that's what I did.
And obviously great things did happen, not only for you, but for a lot of people here that are employed by Principal in Iowa.
Well, I mean, we do think about, what are some of our keys to success, Jackie, to your point. And I would say clearly, being in Central Iowa, being located in Central Iowa is one of the keys to our success because the quality of the workforce that we're able to attract here is really second to none. And that's actually, in many sense, the reason why we're investing, as you know, about $400 million in the campus, because we want to continue to be an attractive place to live, work, raise a family. And part of that is you have to have an office environment that's conducive to the way people work today. So that's why we're doing the project.
Now, speaking of that, I drive by one of your main buildings every day as I'm heading home, and there has been nothing but construction around that area. You guys are putting more money into this company, into the community, around our community. Can you tell us a little bit? I took some pictures over the weekend. What exactly are you guys doing over there?
You can build an entire complex for what you're remodeling.
Yeah, so there's like a small army that comes down from the hill up there north of the, it comes down every day.
Wow.
So right now we are working on actually one of our newer buildings. So we call it Corporate 4.
Okay.
But what we're doing there mostly is putting in new technology, putting in new lighting, putting in new air handling equipment. And so this would be maybe kind of remodeling light. I mean, we are putting in more collaborative space. Now, where it gets to remodeling heavy is at the end of 14 or early 15, we're going to close down. That's our new skywalk.
I was going to say, to me, that's pretty heavy. When you're putting in your own skywalk, that's pretty cool.
That's a skywalk so that you can circumnavigate our campus. That was a big word, circumnavigate.
That's a $4 word this morning.
You should be a CEO.
That's a CEO word.
Yeah.
So you can more easily circumnavigate the campus. But in late 2014 or early 2015, we're going to shut down our original headquarters, which is Corporate 1.
Oh, really?
The 711 High Street building.
Okay.
We're going to shut that down for probably 2 years.
Now, inside, if you're able to look into the windows, you just see everything's been gutted out, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're just kind of
exactly.
doing the
That's right. A lot of new technology, Wi-Fi all across the campus, obviously, new air handling equipment, new lighting. We know that's one of the keys. So, and a lot more collaborative space. One of the big changes here, we did a survey to kind of see. Best in class today would say that about 20% of your office space should be for collaborative work. In other words, project teams that just need to get together on the spur of the moment, whatever. And we did a survey of our campus, and it was 4%.
Oh,
so yeah.
So you need to bump that up.
I mean, we were in, today it looks like the age of the cubicle. I mean, it's it's cubicles, and that's not how people do work anymore. In fact, the cubicles are sort of frustrate people who want to work together and work in collaborative teams, and cubicles actually get in the way of that.
Well, we heard the Register just did something similar with their project too.
You're hearing more and more about that, like Google, places like that. Okay, so you said you're shutting down one of your corporate offices going in later on in the year.
Yeah, Corporate 1. So that's the original. That's the original building, the 711 High Street building. Now, I want to say, because everybody then immediately asked me, "Well, Larry, you're not changing like the look of the building or the sort of the Art Deco?"
Right.
And we're not. But we really need to bring that. That building is 75 years old.
Now, is that where your office is?
That's where my office is.
So, were they going to move you into a trailer outside in the parking lot?
Didn't they tell you? Didn't Ted Stevens tell you? I got
He's
an
hanging
office
out right out here.
You can take my desk.
There you go.
But no, what's going to happen to your office?
So we're actually going to go into 801 Grand.
Okay.
Most people think we're there anyway, so we're actually going to fulfill their expectation.
So you get to eat steaks every day. You lucky.
There you go. There you go.
All right. And then will you stay there permanently, or will you move back?
We'll move back, so we'll be there again for about 2 years, and then ultimately we'll move back, because the reality is we can rent those floors out in 801 Grand at a nice price, and we're quite happy being in Corporate One, so that's just fine with us.
Now, as a CEO, obviously CEOs have to be pretty good at counting beans, but I don't hear of a lot of CEOs having an actuarial science background. You have to be a rare breed of person, I would imagine.
Yeah, a little bit. In my career, Jason, at a very early stage, I actually sort of moved out of the more technical sort of actuarial kind of end of things, and I moved into the retirement area at the time. This was in the mid to late 1970s, and that actually was a great move for me personally, and maybe for some of your listeners out there as they think about their own career. I mean, I think the more you can get close to the actual end customer, the better off you are, because then you really understand what the business is about.
So what's a day in your life like? What's your typical day in the office?
Well, I'm sure it's not as exciting as you might think. A lot of meetings, a lot of meetings. People probably think I get more email than I do, but a lot of meetings. I try to meet every week with each one of my direct reports. I've got about 10 or 12 direct reports. I need to kind of look in their eyes and see, what's happening, what's going well, what needs to be fixed, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, travel. We are in 10 countries outside the U.S. now. We're in 3 countries in Latin America, 7 in Asia. So I'm in Latin America 2 or 3 times a year. I'm in Asia 2 or 3 times a year, so that adds a little spice to the equation for sure.
Well, you just got back from a trip to Washington, D.C.
Yeah. We
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to actually the president invited us to come, and you know that he's mentioned that he's got a pen and a phone, and so he's having a lot of sort of mini summits. This particular one was on the long-term unemployed.
Okay.
One of the things that is different about this recovery, there's probably many things, but one of the things that's different about this recovery is that the long-term unemployed are still nowhere near back to where they were before the financial crisis. Okay. And in fact, if we did have long-term unemployed back where they were before the financial crisis, our unemployment rate would be about 5.1% instead of kind of 6.5%. So we have a lot of work to do there. And I want to give Central Iowa credit, because one of the things that I really went there to do was to talk about, among other programs, there's several great programs here in Central Iowa. But one of them is Central Iowa Works. And there's also the Evelyn Davis Center for Working Families, which is up here at about 9th and University. And so here in Central Iowa, we have some great examples of public-private partnerships. In fact, if you guys want to do a story, that'd be a great story up there. But public-private partnerships that come together. So you have DMAC, Community Foundation, you have some employers like Principal Financial Group, and we sponsor programs up there that do 3 things. Number one, they have to assess the long-term unemployed to see where their skills are. Okay. Are their skills sufficient to get a job in today's economy? Yes, no. If the answer is no, then we have to then engage in training as a second step. And then thirdly, which is also important and often sort of goes missed, is assessment. In other words, we need to assess, once the training is complete, we need to do an assessment so that employers know we have an adequately trained employee here. Right. And Central Iowa Works is a great example of that assessment, testing, assessment, and training and assessment. So.
Wow.
Now you're obviously a big employer here, a huge employer here. Is there a skill set that you have a tougher time finding in people you're hiring now that maybe people could hone themselves doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are pockets. There are always kind of pockets, and I'll mention a couple. One, of course, are people that have IT skills, but specifically in cyber. Okay, cybersecurity. Okay. This is becoming a very significant area of hiring for all financial services companies. Of course, probably now even all retail companies today too. After Target, right?
Yeah, Target, Macy's.
Right, and the reality is that there aren't very many college programs actually geared at training people in cyber. Most people that are in cyber today sort of found their way into their career, at mid-career or something.
Right.
Now you're starting finally to see some colleges that are beginning beginning programs. So that's one. A second one I would say would be in the area of risk management. So these again would be more technical jobs, statistics, finance, to some extent actuarial science, but the focus here is really on risk management, because one of the things we know is that the world is very volatile today,
right.
And so we have to do a lot of sort of continuous monitoring, evaluation, scenario testing, et cetera, for a company like Principal, where everything we do is about a long-term promise. It could be a retirement plan, it could be an insurance policy, so everything we do is very long-term focused. So, what do we need to do to manage our financial affairs such that we know we're going to be here for the next 134 years, and that's what risk management's all about.
So we need, again, to emphasize these careers in STEM, science, technology,
that's exactly right.
And mathematics.
That's exactly right. And here in Iowa, again, we have a STEM advisory council. I think today it's co-chaired by Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds and Mary Andringa from Vermeer. Our Chief Information Officer Gary Schulten is also on that STEM advisory council. So we're doing a lot to promote STEM, frankly, in the middle schools. Where this whole effort has to start is kind of in the middle schools. And Jackie, we need you to promote it, because what happens is, quite often, is girls tend to sort of move away from STEM in that middle school and high school area. And one of the things that we've got to do a better job of is keeping those girls interested in STEM all through their high school career.
I don't understand why that is, and I got to say, in my line of work, which is fairly obviously it's a science, but we have seen a growth in the number of females going through meteorology, and that's good.
Yeah.
And we need to see that more in the sciences and mathematics.
I'll give you an example of a program that we've just put together, and again, it was announced. When David Maxwell was actually at the White House, about President Drake University was there about 2 weeks before I was there about 2 weeks ago. But David announced a program. This would be kind of interesting. So we've partnered, Principal and Drake and the Des Moines Public School System have partnered together to focus on the STEM disciplines among the population right around Drake University. The population around Drake is sort of a lower income and more immigrant population.
Right.
So what we're going to do is Des Moines Public Schools is going to select for us middle school and high school kids who show STEM aptitude. We're going to mentor those students with a Drake University student during their high school year.
Wow.
Then, if they meet Drake's qualifications, they get admitted to Drake University. We then, Principal, will now begin to give them internships when they're in college. And again, assuming they meet normal criteria when they graduate, they'll have a job at Principal Financial Group.
Jeez.
So these are the kinds of things.
So that's almost like your own farm system, what you're building.
Exactly. But we're focusing on lower income and immigrant population. And again, we need to pull out those students that have the STEM skills, and we need to nurture them in a very kind of specific way. We can't just sort of sit back, and wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Principal is continually giving back to the community. You were just honored with an award not too long ago with the Principal Charity Classic because of the great work that you're doing in our community.
Right. Yeah. The Principal Charity Classic has just been a huge home run for us, and hopefully, I think it's been a great event, for the city. So we've now sponsored this event 7 years, and we've raised $5 million.
That is great.
We raised over $1 million last year. We moved to Wakanda. We couldn't be happier. Wakanda's been a great, home. We had a great time at Glen Oaks, by the way. But Wakanda, I think, is proved to be a great home as well. And we just couldn't be, happier with the whole program. We originally, as you know, started it with the For Our Kids charities, the 5 children's charities.
Right.
What has been really interesting, and I hope all your listeners out there who are, sit on the board of a not-for-profit or participate in a not-for-profit, if you're not aware of the Birdies for Charity program, you need to go do some, research and get into that, because now through the Birdies for Charity program, there's over, between 80 and 100 not-for-profits in the Des Moines area that benefit, and every dollar that gets donated on behalf of that charity gets matched 50 cents by Salmon's Financial Group, who has been the supporter of the Birdies for Charity program. So many of the not-for-profits here, that one of their main fundraisers has now become the Principal Charity Classic. And
that is it. See, a lot of people didn't know about that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
And the award that you were just honored is?
It was the Champions Tour and the PGA give an award every year for the Charity of the Year, the tournament that is considered the Charity of the Year. And the nice part about this one is it wasn't just a name on a plaque. This one was actually $30,000.
Even better.
Even better. Even better. So Mike Stevens, who runs the Champions Tour, was in town 2 weeks ago. I don't know. By the way, did you see we had a flash mob?
Yes, you had a flash mob at yours as well with some singers.
Yeah.
The dancing one I was involved with was
I didn't even know what a flash mob was.
Next time we'll send messages. You and I can go and do the flash mob.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, we had the Lincoln Show Choir actually turned out to be a flash mob during the event. So
That's
cool.
priceless.
so you can go to YouTube and you can see it out there.
Check that out. Well, you definitely have a lot of great things happening with Principal over there, and we appreciate you stopping by and sharing some of those great things with us.
It's a real pleasure.
And we
Thanks.
appreciate you staying in town, too. That's one of the things that's really nice. Principal has become so successful over the years, and you're still rooted right here in Des Moines.
You bet.
If you want to work from here till the snow ends, you're more than welcome. You can use my desk if you want.
A new office.
Are you kidding?
He's a
He
nice
can
guy.
walk to his office from here. It's not far.
Larry, thank you
Thanks
for
very
coming
much.
in.
Thank you.
Pleasure
Nice
to
to
be
meet
here.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
my pleasure.
We'll be right back. You're watching Great Day.